How's it going, guys? Adam aka ACS Radical here. Just want to take a moment to go over about ConBravo. There was a really awesome convention that I attended last weekend. It's at least at the time of the recording of this video. It could be, you're like, really? Because that thing was in July. I'm watching this in August. It was a smaller, like, I'd say, between like 3,000 and 5,000 people kind of deal in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, at the Hamilton Convention Center. Mostly it centers around YouTubers. I think that's a general consensus of what the idea is behind who it goes to these things, at least with the guests, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a bit of everything, though. There's a lot of gaming, there's a lot of anime, there's a lot of pop culture, there's a little bit of everything. It just centers, I think, around YouTubers as a general whole, but it's a really nice, small convention, I think, because this has actually only been my second convention ever. I went last year as well. And it's also because I don't like large crowds. Not because of like claustrophobia or anything like that. I just hate dealing with a lot of people, especially when you know that, the more people that you see at a place, the likelihood of it being really insensitive, really rude, and really just stupid people, it just increases. I don't really feel like going up to that. So, yeah, so ConBravo was a blast as always, just like last year. The difference, though, is a lot different because last year I went into that almost, how shall we say, like I said, it was my first convention ever, so it was the first time meeting, people who, at least in my mind, I deem famous, right? And there were a bunch of names last year that I was super excited to see. Movie Bob was there, Gaijin Goomba was there, AlphaOmegaSin just suddenly appeared there out of nowhere. Who else was a big name there that I went and saw? Oh yeah, Angry Joe, and he ended up coming late, that kind of stuff. There was a lot of people there, and JonTron was there, but I knew better. I knew better to stay away from those things because the lineups for those were just absolutely ridiculous. So it was a pretty big turnout last year, and I think this year was a lot smaller just because I don't think they could have ever topped, getting someone like JonTron to go to this event. I mean, the only thing you could really do to top it, I think, not going to, like, say, the PewDiePies and the Smoshes, which you're not going to get anyway. You'd have to get someone around, like, Egoraptor or Danny Sexbang, You have to do that kind of a level of YouTube star to really bring in more people than what they did for that event. And, I mean, it feels like it's still growing, but this year it didn't feel like there was nearly the colossal amount of people. And like I said, I think that's just because there was no JonTron, because JonTron attracted a ton of people. So there was that. Not to say that there weren't a lot of guests that I wanted to see. There were 5 major guests that I wanted to go see at that, and I was very happy to see them. And also a lot of people that returned from last year. Just naming off a couple of people off the top of my head: Derek the Bard, Linkara, Dr. Holocaust. I mean, there were guys that seem to be regulars to that, and I'm going to know, once I go next year and see, oh, those people are here again. So it's it gets the idea. But at the same time, in terms of the bigger guests that they got, there was still some really good stuff if you can keep up with it. What should I do? I should just go quickly through my haul because there really isn't much about this year. Last year, on the other hand, I mean, most of what you see on this side of the wall, that was all from last year, except for the couple of things at the bottom, which is Loot Crate. I also got a ton of minifigurines, which is in the Loot Crate box as well. Yeah, I spent a lot of money that year. This year, not so much. I spent maybe half what I brought, and I brought even less than I did this year than I did last year. So, just a couple of things that I got. I got a Final Fantasy gift bag, and the reason I got it, also, I never would have got it in the first place, and now that I know what I got it, it's like, I shouldn't have got it. But I ran a 2-hour Final Fantasy panel this year, which was awesome and so much fun to do. The guys that I was working with were great. We had some great conversations, whether it was about the 7 remake, whether it was about 15, whether it was the current state of Final Fantasy, whether it was just Squeenix as a whole. There was a lot of stuff that we talked about, and it was really awesome. Now, the grab bag, I'm not going to show you all of it because most of it was a bunch of keychains or like necklace pieces to it. Nothing was special about it, except, of course, it got me another Moogle, which I could have 10 of these and wouldn't care because fucking Moogles are awesome, right? The only figurine I bought this year, because this year, either anything that I wanted was way too expensive. Like there was a not Final Fantasy. There was a Persona 4 Arena Labris, and it was like $250, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Either that or stuff was too expensive, or most of what was on the main, on the main tables, I didn't either. I either didn't know what it was, or it was something that I just didn't have interest in. And I'm like, why am I going to buy a figure of something that I don't actually care about, right? So The only one that I ended up picking up was this one, which is Isuzu from Amagi Brilliant Park. And if you haven't actually watched that show, that's something you should also look into. That's a really fun show. It's not crazy fan servicey or anything. It's actually very, very, it's, would I say it's as close? Well, there's a little bit of fan service, so I don't know if it became the kind of thing that you probably want to throw at kids, but it's definitely very fun and very casual compared to a lot of other anime, especially if you've been watching my summer season anime videos, you understand that, yeah, a lot of fan servicey stuff came out this season for sure, so there's always that. And then the only artwork that I bought this year was very small, and it was only from one artist, who I'll thank as we get to the end of it. But the first one I got was this tiny little Fire Emblem Awakening postcard with, oh god, I gotta get it right in the shot properly. It's Maribel and Lisa, or Lissa, I don't know how they pronounce it. It's Japan, you're always gonna mess up the names. The other one I'm gonna have to turn the camera around because it's a little too big and I didn't want to take it off the wall. So there's this one here, which is, if you watched last season's anime, there is Your Lie in April. And this one I got just because, it was the kind of poster that I'm like, not only is it beautiful, but no one draws that. Like, most of what you saw this year for artwork was the comic stuff. League of Legends was there, Zelda was there a lot. I mean, most Nintendo stuff was there a lot. A lot of Kill la Kill, which was surprising to me. I didn't think Kill la Kill had stretched that far, but then again, I don't always keep up with what everybody else is watching. I just care about what I like, right? But yeah, a lot of like main stuff like that, and that Your Lie in April poster is the only one that I saw, and really the only one that I saw and went, whoa, like someone drew that of all things, and I had to go with that, and that was really awesome. So yeah, that was about the haul. In terms of all the panels and stuff that I went to, most of them was, this year I didn't go out of my way to get something, I didn't try to keep myself busy at all times, because last year I tried so hard to see everything, and it didn't work out so well, so this year I kind of learned, okay, just, mark down the ones you have to go to, and then if you have time, you go find stuff. Most of what I saw this year was all based on the guests that, were there and I wanted to see. There were a couple little ones here, and like I didn't see a lot of community panels this year, which is like what the Final Fantasy one is, where it's just, you go and see, it's just, usually either volunteers of the convention or just guys who put their name in the hat of just wanting to do one for fun, right? Yeah, there weren't a lot of stuff that I ended up seeing. Like, it was mostly Q&As or, stuff like that. A lot of the time I spent either in the shopping center, or I spent just kind of chilling, just kind of having fun, and not really trying to make sure I got a piece of everything. Like, there was a lot of like other panels that I wanted to go see, but they interfered, or it was just like, I can go without it. It wasn't something, now that I've had a year under my belt, I'm not nearly as, oh my god, I gotta go get this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, because I haven't done it before. This year, it's like, okay, I know, how this is gonna probably work out, so let me just aim for the things that I have to see, and then I'll work out things as I go along. But for the most part, yeah, it was mostly the guests. So I guess I'll get into, I'm not gonna go into like, oh, these are the guests that I attend. I'm gonna do, as I end this, because I don't want this to be terribly long. 15 minutes was the aim. I might actually hit that, which is unusual for me to actually hit the goal that I make instead of going over. Is I'm gonna thank just anybody that was there that I, had some significance to really add to the fun that I had this year. So. First off, I'm going to thank ComboTron and Meg Simmons, and Meg Simmons is the one that made the 2 art that I bought. ComboTron is the one that actually, if I try to get the finger pointed right, he made the trombone that's up there, and you're not going to be able to see it from this angle, but he made a Chie one. If you actually watch last year's ConBravo video that I believe I put up and should actually be showing it, he made those 2 from last year. Most of what he brought was still good, but it wasn't the same stuff. Like Trombone and Chie were 2, like, Trombone especially, I'm like, Trombone was my Your Lie in April last year. I'm like, wow, somebody drew Tron of all things? Wow, that's awesome. But yeah, those 2 were like, I went to so much during the convention just to talk with them. They were awesome people to talk to. We had a lot of great conversations, whether it was about Fire Emblem, whether it was about Sony and Microsoft, whether it was about anything and everything. And I probably spent, if I was to estimate, I'd say probably about 2 hours total, just talking with them and having a blast. It was really cool. It's awesome to have people that I can go and talk to and just enjoy. And that's the thing too that I learned from this year compared to last year, is that I don't have to be fanboyish. I don't have to get all giddy when I see people. I just you talk to them like people. And I know and I made a radical rant about that a long time ago. And I think I had to do with JonTron at ConBravo, where I just said, dude, they want to be treated like people. I didn't go like the crazy, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god kind of thing. It's more like I stayed super quiet and wasn't really sure how to talk to people, which is funny because, you know, at that point I was still podcasting and doing videos myself. It should have been pretty easy, but, you know, getting starstruck for the first time. This year, not so much. I just talked to them like normal people, like it's nothing. Like it didn't make a difference, and it happened with everybody. But yeah, those two were super awesome. They're great artists, so you should check them out. I'm going to have everybody's... a link to everybody, whether it's by Twitter or something like that, into the description, so that way, if you want to check them out, you can do that. So, and yeah, like I said, they're great artists and awesome to talk to. I want to thank the Game Chasers, who I saw briefly last year, but got the chance to in full this year, and they are awesome. They are kind of getting me into the idea of collecting retro games. That's what they do. They just go after everything, and the idea of, you know, I am interested in buying a Retron 5 because I want to be able to play old games again, but I don't want to have to spend all this money to find a working console, whereas the Retron, I literally just got to find cartridges that work, which is a lot easier. But yeah, like, their panel was fucking hilarious. Great guys. Yeah, I hope they come back next year as well, because they make everything entertaining. You know, for guys that all they do is they go and buy retro games, like, they're fucking funny as shit. ProJared and Jirard the Completionist, they were there this year. They were awesome. ProJared, he missed last year because of, I think he had prior commitments or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but both of them were amazing. I actually managed to get one of my friends, who actually ran one of the shop booths, to see Jirard and give him a present, which was awesome. He was really nice about that. But their 2 a.m. panel was fucking amazing because it just ended up turning into a speed run, well, not speed run, completion run of Mega Man X. And they made people choose that had never played before, and they intentionally told them, don't choose Chill Penguin because we're not getting the dash, that's no fun. But yeah, it was so entertaining. Those guys were amazing, and I'm glad that we got the chance to see them, especially Jared, because we missed him last year. I want to thank the guys at LoadingReadyRun. Specifically, that was Graham, Kathleen, Alex, and Cameron. They were fucking awesome. Their panel was great. We got to write a crap shot for that, for whatever feature they end up shooting that, which sounds like it's going to be absolutely hilarious. The best thing, though, was when I went and saw them at the booth. Like, I was wearing, right now I'm wearing my Kid and Cesaro shirt, but I went up to them the first day with my Sami Zayn shirt, and we ended up talking about wrestling for like half an hour. It was fucking awesome. Which also makes me think that I gotta try to do a wrestling panel for next ConBravo, because clearly it was talked about a bunch at last year's panels that I went to. So I'm like, fuck, everybody seems to like wrestling still. I need to start getting in and throwing that in for next year. But anyways, yeah, thanks to those guys. And last but not least, the one that I want to thank the most, because he was probably the most awesome to us, was AlphaOmegaSin, who actually, give me 1 second. At least I keep things close to me so I don't have to kill it. He, like Angry Joe was last year, he's the only one I managed to get an autograph on my card for this year. And out of anybody there this year, he was the one that was the best to talk to. Not that, you know, none of the others that were awesome, but I must have run into him like 5 times. We ran into him a few times in the shopping center. We ran into him once at the Burrito Boys that was not too far from the convention center, and he was just absolutely fucking fantastic. He's such a cool dude. Really down to earth, which is funny because when you watch his videos, he's fucking all over the place and a crazy motherfucker, which I like. That's not a bad thing. But we had some great conversations about shit, especially after the Social Justice Warriors video that he put out. So we had a good talk about all that bullshit. But yeah, like, he was the guy, and we managed to get a picture with him. I don't think I'll be able to get that picture to be able to put on the video because it's not on my phone. But he was super cool to both me and my girlfriend Lisa. It was just a great experience to hang out with him for, you know, as much time as we got to. And, you know, fuck, the guy's so cool. So cool. And I was really glad to see him last year for the little time I did. And to see him again this year and actually get to see him for more than like a couple minutes was just fucking fantastic. So, with that being said, that's everything I pretty much got to put out in that. I don't think there's anything else. Well, of course, I have to thank all the guys at ConBravo for putting things together, all the volunteers, the staff, and everybody. They did a tremendous job this year. And, yeah, I mean, if you're anywhere near the Hamilton area, whether you're in Toronto, London, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, like all that, if you can get down to Hamilton for a few days, it's a great convention to go to. It's not too big, so it's not overwhelming, but there is enough of, you know, important guests and stuff to do. Like, there's enough going on there that's definitely worth going into, and it's not that expensive either. And yeah, it's in a pretty good time. It's right in the end of July, so it's not like you have to worry about cold weather. Actually, the weather was almost perfect this year, because there was almost no rain. I can't remember if there was even like drizzle at all. But yeah, it was just probably the better overall for me, just in terms of all the people I got to meet, and it wasn't crazy lineups, but at the same time, you know, it also means that they didn't get nearly as many people. So anyways, I knew I was going to go over the second I realized, shit. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. You can like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Obviously, you know, we got the anime series starting up. I'm going to start doing more rants now that I'm starting to get fodder again. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We will see you later.